Destiny 2 Lightfall was disappointing, but not in the way you might think. This DLC offers a thrilling gameplay experience with new features that make it more engaging than ever before. The introduction of the Strand subclass and accommodations, as well as the UI changes, are all excellent additions that contribute to a more organized and flexible gameplay experience. The new armor system is also a welcome addition that provides more diversity and depth to the game. Visually, the new destination Nimona is stunning with its vibrant colors and exquisite art design. There are many more gameplay and user experience improvements that are well received by the community. However, the game falls short in terms of narrative, which is where it was disappointing for me. If you're new to the Destiny franchise, I suggest you watch Evase's The Entire Story of Destiny video, which is an excellent resource that covers the start of Destiny 1 all the way up to the Lightfall DLC. I'll put the link for the video in the description down below. This video is 4 hours long, so it's best to watch it in parts, but it provides an in-depth analysis of the expansive universe, including characters, enemy races, plot twists, and decisions made throughout the main game and DLCs. However, before diving into the story, it's important to note that the rest of this video contains spoilers. If you haven't finished the story yet, I suggest clicking off the video and returning after completing the game, unless you really don't care. With almost a decade of lore, numerous DLCs, and seasons, Bungie has amassed a wealth of experience. Despite this, they falter in the Lightfall's DLC's narrative. One of the primary issues is the absence of explanations, specifically regarding the Veil. The DLC references it frequently, yet players are left clueless about its origin, purpose, and why we must safeguard it. Without sufficient context, players struggle to become invested in the story and comprehend the stakes. The Veil feels like a half-baked concept, tacked onto the story without any actual intention. While our ghost mentions that it reminds them of the Traveler and is a source of power, that is the only extent of our understanding. It is unclear why the Veil is significant, why Callus and the Witness want to control it, and how it relates to the Cloud Arc that Nimbus and Rohan mention.
I don't even have time to explain why I don't have time to explain.
Furthermore, Nimbus's not so serious attitude towards a critical matter hinders players' ability to understand if Bungie wants us to take the story serious. And then Rohan, whose sacrifice feels insignificant emotionally since we don't have an emotional bond with them. If Bungie had introduced Rohan in earlier seasons, his sacrifice might have been a bit more impactful, but they decided to play this one safe and kill off a character we have no bond with. Where is the Bungie that killed off Cade 6 and Forsaken? The community was in shambles. If they were going to kill off one of these characters, I would have rather it been Nimbus. Overall, the lack of information about the Veil hinders Lightfall and could have been improved with better explanation and storytelling, as I was left feeling as though I was clearing out Cabal in important areas to help push the plot. The focus of Lightfall becomes clear after the first few missions, centered on the introduction of the new Strand subclass, which admittedly is fun to use. However, introducing it in a pivotal moment of Destiny 2's almost 10-year narrative seems like a mistake. The lack of information given to players about the Strand is another issue. Although we come across it when arriving in Nimona, we aren't told how it became a thing or how it was created. What's even more frustrating is how the subclass is piecemealed to players through quests attempting to teach them, but they never fully obtain it until after beating the story. In my opinion, one of two things should have happened. The first is giving players a prelude, maybe a week or two before the release of the DLC, where you introduce Strand. We learn about what it is, how it came about, and then give us a mission or two showing us how to use it. You wouldn't necessarily obtain it fully in this prelude, which prevents players from using it in the main content until the DLC is released, but this would skip a lot of the time and effort used to push it here in Lightfall. The other option would have been a main mission at the beginning of the DLC, going all out, giving us Strand and teaching us then and there at the start. It's unfortunate how Strand was used to push the narrative forward, which seems confusing when the focus should have been on the Veil and the purpose behind Callus and the Witness wanting it. It just feels tacked on, as if Bungie had been working on a new subclass and decided to prop it into the most important DLC for the franchise from a narrative standpoint. In short, Lightfall becomes a story about Strand, and they don't even do a good job of explaining it, making it feel like nothing but a strand tutorial that detracts from the larger narrative. Throughout the story, I never felt like I was in any real danger, which I'm not sure if it's just me or if others felt the same. Bungie introduced us Callus in the first raid Leviathan, where we saw what kind of power he held, even though we never saw his body. Similarly, the Witness was mentioned throughout Destiny 2's storyline.
You made it. We have heard your cries for help, and soon we will answer. Who are you? Don't you recognize us? We are not your friend. We are not your enemy. We are your salvation.
But we never saw him until the end of the Witch Queen. Bungie missed the mark by not showing off his true power, or at least teasing him with small cutscenes throughout the years. We were left wondering, what can the Witness do and how powerful are they? The only glimpse we got was a small cutscene before the last mission, where he dominated Callus with what reminded me a bit of Sharingan from Naruto. Look, I think the Witness is menacing, and I hope we get more of what they're capable of in the future, but apart from that, we don't know how strong the Witness is, which makes the players feel as though they're in no true danger. To make matters worse, the conclusion ends with us losing, and the Witness creating a triangular portal on the Traveler surrounded by black pyramids, ultimately capturing it. However, as players, we still retain our light, and we aren't sure what that means for us. In the first hour of Vanilla D2, when Gaul captured the Traveler, our light was stripped away, leaving us feeling powerless. However, in Lightfall, we still have our power as Guardians. Even when we return to the tower, Ikora and Zavala's reactions seem underwhelming and there is a lack of emotion. We just lost the most important asset to Guardians, the reason why we have light, yet they don't appear defeated in the slightest. I just don't understand. Despite the shortcomings of the main story, there is still hope for redemption with the raid, as it presents an opportunity for players to unravel more of the narrative. However, it's hard to ignore that the writers at Bungie missed the mark with Lightfall, and it's a disservice to the fanbase. The storytelling was reminiscent of Vanilla D1,
I don't even have time to explain why I don't have time to explain.
which is not a positive comparison. It's even more disappointing when you compare it to the well-crafted narrative of the Witch Queen, which had a satisfying conclusion. A satisfying conclusion doesn't necessarily mean a victory, but rather an understanding of what happened and why. Unfortunately, Lightfall doesn't deliver on this front, and it's a letdown for fans who were hoping for a more engaging story. After completing your playthrough, what do you think? Is there something I'm missing here? If so, please fill in some gaps for me, as I absolutely love the universe of Destiny, and Lightfall's narrative left me disappointed. Thanks for watching, peace.
I'm focusing, I got sleeper shots. 1, 2, let's go.